Hey guys, welcome back, and in this part we're going to go ahead and start creating the arm. As you can tell, I went ahead and made the arm apart from the hand, just so you guys can get a look at what we're going to be doing in the next couple of parts. So if I just turn these off, I'm going to show you the bits we're going to be making. So there'll be this piece, they're obviously going to come out from the body, and then we're going to make this piece, not that too complicated, and that same piece is duplicated on the bottom. We're going to make this joint piece here, as just a cylinder really, and then we're going to make this sort of cylinder with a straight end, because on top of that going to sit this sort of shield kind of thing for the arm. So you're going to go ahead and make this as well, and then obviously you're going to go ahead and just make this joint piece, and basically by then we'll have the arm finished and we can go ahead and start working on the hand and stuff. So that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and move this to the side. I'm going to delete it. Ooh, if I just group everything together, modify center pivot, and I'm going to go ahead and just add it to a block in case I'll need it. I doubt I will. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it here, and I'm going to turn that off. So we're going to need a body, just to know where to put the pieces, and we're going to start off with this joint piece. So let's get started. We're going to go into our side view, and I'm going to make this live, just to make our life a little bit easier, like so. And we're going to start off with a cylinder. So let's get our cylinder tool and going to drag it out to about here. I want it quite big. I'm just going to drag out a height for now, and I'm going to move it to about there. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, and I'm just going to drag this out from the body a bit. Actually, it can be out here for now. So now that we align it, I can go ahead and just isolate this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select these faces so I can drag a bit more width to it. So I'm just gonna come out with my isolate and gonna drag it to roughly nearly the same width as this gap. So it's fine as it is now, and while this is still selected, we can go ahead and start making the extrusions that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and hit extrude, scale, and scale this in a bit to about there, and hit extrude again and going to pull it out so it looks something like this, and it's looking pretty good to me. Maybe drag it out a little bit more. Okay. So basically this is our piece. Now all we gotta do is add in all our edge loops and such. So while I'm here, I'm just gonna undo to the bit where these faces are still selected and hit extrude again and scale, and just scale this in so we get that edge loop around there. And then go to our insert edge loop tool and start adding in these loops. I think that was 2. Just gonna undo, make sure I add in the right ones, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and isolate this piece so I can select these back faces and go ahead and extrude that as well so you get that edge loop around the back. That looks pretty good, and just select my insert edge loop tool again and add one around here. Okay, and we got this piece created. If we go ahead and smooth it, it should look pretty good. So I'm going to come out of my isolation mode, make sure that this is not live anymore, make not live, and I'm going to go ahead and probably we might even make this just a tiny bit bigger, I think, or we might leave it as it is for now. If I just go into my front view, I'm just going to make it a tiny bit bigger to about there for now. We might play around with the size a bit more later on. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this cylinder piece that sits on the top, and I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to go ahead and nick still this cylinder from here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and move this out. While I'm here, I'm just going to check my outliner, and it's a bit of a mess because of this hand that we have here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this, just to get rid of all these groups and stuff that we don't need, just to keep our outliner fairly clean. And these poly surfaces, these are the pieces that we made earlier. So we're just going to go ahead, and while we're here, we might as well name them. So we're going to name this body, bottom, door. This is going to be body, bottom, back up. This is going to be body, bottom, main. And this is our body backup as well. So what I'm going to do is group these two together and name it backup. And we can just go ahead and drag these two pieces into our body group. We're just going to rename this body. Okay, so now this is a little bit cleaner. You can go around and start working with this. I'm going to drag this out from the neck group and just rename it hand cylinder for now. Okay, so you can go ahead and rotate this so it looks something like this, and we're also going to go ahead and rotate it this way, I think. Let me look at this model that I have. Right, yeah, we're going to also rotate this -90 or 0. There we go. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and move it to a right place, and obviously you're going to have to go ahead and scale and so on. So this is going to sit somewhere around here. Obviously it's going to have to be a bit thinner, something like this. And let me just have a look at this. I'm just going to go ahead and drag this a little bit inside of that piece for now, and I'm going to grab, actually we're going to go ahead and turn off our neck layer and everything else because we don't need them anymore. And that's looking okay for now. So if you go into our front view, as you can tell, the cylinder piece is going to be roughly here. It's quite hard to tell, and this might want to be in sort of the middle of it, but you can go ahead and play around with that later on. We're just going to leave that as it is for now, and then we can go around and scale bits about where things would be. So as you can tell, this joint piece would roughly be sitting in here, and then we get these two other pieces that are going to sit somewhere else. If I just go and turn on my body layer, what I'm actually going to do is we're going to go ahead and move both of these back a little bit. So I'm going to grab both of them and group them together and just name it arm joint. And now if I go ahead and go to modify center pivot, I can go ahead and move this to the back, roughly about there. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make these two joint pieces that grab the cylinder basically. So what I'm going to do is we're going to duplicate the cylinder for size sake. Go ahead and isolate. Going to first, we're going to go ahead and get rid of these edge loops, just so they don't get in our way and don't confuse us and so on. So we're going to do the same thing with this and the one on the bottom. Delete edge. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go into our top view, and basically the way this is going to be is that if you have a look at this corner here, we're going to go ahead and straighten this out. So it's going to be like a straight sort of a piece. It's not going to be that complicated to do. So I'm going to select them two vertices and just snap it to about here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and start spreading this out a little bit. So this one will go here as well. Drag it up a bit. And then with this one, I'm going to actually snap it up to this way and drag it out to about here. And I'm actually going to do the same thing with this one. So drag it up to this height. Okay, so this is our basic shape. We might go ahead and add in some extra loops if we need them, but I don't think we will. So for now, we're going to leave it as it is. I can go ahead and just spread this out a bit, like so. And that looks about fine. Okay, so basically this is our main shape. And now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and add in the extra loops to see if this is going to smooth properly. So we're going to go back into my top view, select these faces, and this way I select the bottom faces as well. So make sure both of them are selected, extrude scale, and we're going to set an offset to this. And I'm getting a little bit of an issue here, but that should be okay. If I just undo that, select these again, hit extrude and offset, and just slow down my slider. There we go. So get that edge loop going. Okay, so there we go. We got our edge loops on the bottom. And now we're just gonna go ahead, and we're also going to need edge loops going around here. And obviously we're also going to need them going in this direction. So what I'm going to do is add an edge loop here and add an edge loop here. And if you notice, you might think we're going to have to merge, we're going to have to add an edge loop in here and join it up. But actually we turn this triangle into a quad by adding this loop, so it's actually not a problem as long as it's moved properly. So I'm going to go ahead and hit smooth and see how it's looking. Okay, and it smooths quite nicely. It's not causing us any issues whatsoever. You can try it, and if you want, you can go ahead and add in an edge going from here, going all the way down there to make a triangle, but it's actually fine being a quad. So we're going to leave that as it is, and we got a piece, so that's pretty good. I'm going to come out of my isolation mode, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this piece up. And if I recall correctly, this is going to be a little bit thinner. So what we're going to do is scale this down to about here. Set it on the top. And in theory, this should be sitting somewhere up here, but I played around with this and it doesn't look very good. We might do that and make this like a thicker piece, like so. You know, it might look a little bit better. We'll play around with it and see how it's looking. For now, we're just going to leave that like that. I'm gonna duplicate, well, before I do that, I might want to make sure that this sits there properly. We're gonna make this a tiny bit bigger, so scale it up. So we want this cylinder to sit inside that one. So I'll just make it a tiny bit more bigger. And as long as this is not touching that, it's gonna be fine. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. The cylinder fits in there quite nicely, so now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and go into my side view and duplicate this and move it down about here. And let's see how that's looking. That's looking pretty good to me. So now we got these two joint pieces sorted as well. The next thing that we would need is basically the main cylinder for the arm. That isn't actually a cylinder because you got like a straight edge. So I think we're going to go ahead and make that piece and shield piece in the next part. So hope you guys enjoy this part, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.